Hello guys, my name is Adrian and welcome to my channel. For those that are new to the channel, I'm trying here to create a game live on stream, and in the videos I'm doing something similar to the game engine development. Yeah, also I'm doing the streams. So probably lately I put just videos, but my intention it is to have also live streams. And of course, for those that don't know, to work on a game that looks like this. This is not AI generated graphics. It's made by my friend. And the whole idea, it will be like a tactical RPG. Of course, turn-based tactical RPG, especially in 2D. We'll not have 3D graphics here. Everything is 2D. And the framework or engine or whatever I call it, it should be mostly to support this game in the beginning, but while I'll be focused live on stream for this game, I will also, of course, approach some topics for the 3D graphics. So, this is my intention. Also, thanks for being here on the stream. If you can confirm me that you can hear me well, because in the previous stream I did a stream but nobody kind of confirmed it. So if you can confirm it in the chat that you are hearing me well and every setting that I put here it's okay, it will be very appreciated. Okay, so like I said, we want to achieve these graphics. What we have so far is just our empty window. We didn't initialize even the OpenGL in it. And what we will do today, like I said, of course, if you are not into the channel, you know that I'm not using a game engine. We are trying to do everything from scratch. So how the framework or the game engine is kind of structured, it's with modules. I have graphics, platforms, and I added before the stream the resources module. And I'm putting this something similar to Lego bricks. And I have these modules. And what we will do, based on, for example, on my game needs, I'll create, let's say, like an engine. But in fact, there will be just some components that I have in the modules that I'm putting together to be something that we can call, let's say, a game engine. Okay, so far what I did and how it is working so far. Let's say we have a window manager, very simple. It takes, of course, some factory based on the platform that you are on. Right now, I just implemented just Windows. I will also in the future work on the Linux and Mac OS. I have my window. I have an input manager, of course, that can handle two situations for the input, like when you are having some key that is pressed and when you kind of have a press on a key, but you are adding some action to it. Something similar with what we have in the new input system in Unity. Okay. Other than that, we have the time and nothing very special. Of course, we have the options to have OpenGL context, but so far I didn't do anything, of course, on the game side about the OpenGL. And what I want to do today, first, let's see if I'm up to date with the modules. Okay, platform graphics. Okay, it seems that I have something on the resources. Let's see what I put it here. Okay, I did the default constructor. So that it is so far. About the streams, for a while I still need in the framework, let's say, I still need the shaders. I still need the matrices. I need to write some structures for the vectors and the matrices. Textures. And after that, of course, probably some very simple format, probably TGA, because it's the most simple format for the textures or for the images to load them. Or possible, I will use an external for a while, and after that, we will write our own implementation on that image loading. So when I will have that, I will be able also to do maybe lives daily, like I did in the past. So let's start with some. The first part that I want to work, and it will not be the main focus, but we need to do that. I will do some new classes. The first one, it will be called game editor, and the second one, it will be called game engine. I'm trying to avoid using singletons in my implementation. I don't want to have like the game engine to be a singleton. Also the window manager, I kind of avoided to have it as a singleton. So how it will work, the game engine will keep an instance of the window manager, input manager, editor will keep track of other things, and so on. Of course, in the game engine, we'll have something like scene manager, and we'll try to start from the, let's say, from the top to the bottom with the hierarchy and the structure of the application. Okay, so the first thing that we will try to do, of course, we need to add the target sources. We need to just a second, private, and we have the game editor here. Now, also for the engine, we are doing the same. Sorry, not add subdirectory, target sources, project name, and we are adding the game engine. Okay, let's see. Also, what we need to do, we need to add the game editor to make it available also here. Good. Other than that, in here, of course, we need to include the directory for the headers. We are doing the same also in the game engine. Of course, these things we are doing just once at the beginning. After that, we don't need to do it. Okay, and we can start with the game editor. What we'll have here is nothing special for now. I will have some functions. First will be the init, and the second one it will be the release. Okay, let's generate these two functions. For the release, we will leave it empty. And what I want to do, okay, I have also the resource module here. And what I will do so far, like I said, in this game editor will not be our main focus today. I want to include something that we recently did on the videos, the shaders converter, and how I will do it. I will use the editor, shader converter, convert each, and I will use a macro that I just created, default shader path, which will lead to the shader folder here. I decided to put the shaders in the resources module because, in fact, it's something similar to some piece of code, of course. Okay, what else? Let's go back here. And, of course, we need an output folder. We'll call it shaders. And probably I will rename this because I will do something like not default, but I will call them base shader path. Okay, because most of the shaders will be called with base. in front, and it makes much more sense. Okay, this needs to be regenerated. Let's wait. If you have any questions, I'm always open for questions, so don't be afraid to intervene with any question. Okay, so we have this. What it will mean that if we are going into the main, here we are just adding, for example, a NAT editor needs to be in the core. Just a second. Let's try to make a build to see if we get them. Okay, let's try also run. Good. So include core game editor HPP. And the question is why we don't have it. Just a second. Private game editor. The project name. A second. It is in the core. It is called game editor. And now the small problems are here. Okay, no such a file, blah, blah, blah. I like when C++ does that. Let's do the simple part that we can do. Just let's delete the CMake folder and remake the whole build. Sometimes C++ does that. And let's see if now we'll have more luck. Seems that the game editor is not found. So that's very awesome. Okay, it's very simple. Why didn't work? Because I forgot to put everything into the core. So that's one mistake, like always. Okay, let's have the subdirectory core. And now everything should work. It should at least. Okay, what we'll do, very simple. Core game editor, we'll have the game editor, and we'll call the init for it. And of course, at the end, we'll have game editor release. For now, we don't do that much for the editor, but later on we'll have some debug drawing, some stuffs. But for now, we will try in the editor to handle just the shader convert. So now when we are running the project, we are getting the shaders. Of course, like I said, we are not using them, so that's good. For sure, in the later stages of the game, we'll not do this in the editor every time. So we are doing it just now. Okay, so we are having the shaders converted. That's pretty much everything that we want to do for the editor now. And now we'll start to work, let's say, on the game engine part. Okay. How we'll do that? Very simple. We'll start by adding some functions. Okay. So the AI, because I have an AI assistant, knew that I want to create the init and the release. So we are good with that. Another part that we want to do is to have, so in the init, of course, we'll initialize some parts. We'll have the release when we will try to delete the parts. I want to have an update function on the engine. I want to have some render stuff here. What it will be very useful to have, it will be to have a mechanism to start and stop the engine. Something similar with the machines or the cars, sorry. Okay, void here, so we'll have start and stop. If you prefer other ways, you can name yourself with quit or whatever. We'll have some auto running. Okay, sorry, this will be a boolean. Just a second. What do we need more? First, we need an instance to our window manager. Let's of course include a window manager here. Core window. Just a second. Window manager, and let's include also the input manager. And because we are already here, let's include also the platform time. Sorry. Okay, of course. Core platform. So we'll have some window manager. Now the choice is like this. If we want, we can make it as a pointer, but in fact doesn't matter that much. We can have it directly as a member of this class. If later on we'll see that we have some problems with the memory or all the stuff on the stack or whatever, we will try to move it and make it in the dynamic part. We need to have an instance for the input manager. Of course, platform time. We need our time. And at the end, some simple boolean for the running. This is not the, let's say, the final part with the running and so on. I want to have something like some status for the engine, because probably at some point the engine can kind of, let's say, maybe if the window manager kind of fails, you kind of go and create a status, and for example, like window manager not initialized, and so on. And we will kind of make the running based on that status, not like we are having here now, just with just a boolean. Okay, but for now, that will do for us. Because, like I said before, we want this to be used like a lot. I don't want to use singletons and all that stuff. Those will be part of the game engine. I will kind of need to have something like, let's say, some getters. The AI already knew what I wanted to do. So I need to have some getters for the window manager and for the input manager. That's one thing. And now what it remains for us is to kind of, let's say, start and implement these things. What I will do first, of course, the first part. Okay, why I'm using auto? It's the new thing, not that new, but around C++, it's, let's say, new. Recently, I like it better on how you can read the name. If you make, like, you don't take in consideration auto, and you are saying like, hey, I have a function called update, which returns the void. I have a function running, which returns a boolean. I have a window manager function that returns a window manager reference. Other than that, if it was like in front, you can kind of have something like, okay, I have a functions that return in this, but, and so on. It's more on the, probably that's why the guys from C++ edit. It's just another perspective on how to read the code. And to be honest, there are some new languages that are kind of preferring this way of having the type at the end. But from the reading perspective, I think it makes more sense. Some also why I was used to the old way, but I like the new way because kind of can align the things much easier, but it's simpler if you're kind of reading the function name first. It's much cleaner. I hope it makes sense. Some people are still using the old way, so I'm not against. It's just the way I prefer. And it makes sense for me, just for me. But like I said, other languages implemented this way. Other, let's say, new languages. Okay, so let's have the init, let's have the release, sorry, update, render, start. I'm just generating now the functions. And after that, we will try to kind of complete each of them. So for the input manager, very simple. Turn input manager. The same applies for the window manager. Very simple. For the running, for now, just return this running variable. Not much to do. For the stop, running should be false, of course. For the start, running should be true. Okay. What we need to do also. In the start, what is very important, let's also take this as an example. Very important, probably when we are starting the engine, which should also call the show on the window. So what we can do, window manager, window, and show. Also, our window manager takes care of the window, window context, window events, and window input. I'm trying to do something like a small structure, hierarchy, and so. I don't want to kind of put a lot of singletons and all that stuff. We are trying to keep the things cool. Okay, so here we have the window. What we can do when we are starting the engine, and I think it will be a good thing to start also the time. Okay, very kind of useful. Probably somewhere around here we'll start with the game. Also, let's do the following. Include core game engine, HPP. Okay, what we are missing again? Of course, the core folder. Let's move everything. Let's add a new CMake. Add subdirectory core. Very simple. Also, most of the time, you will get something like this. And good. So, we are having the game engine. What I want to do first, let's initialize the game engine before the editor. Like I said, for a while, we'll not do anything with the editor. It will just be there. And at the end, of course, let's release the game engine as well. Good. So if we're running the project now, we kind of don't get anything. But what we can do is to start moving some more parts. So in the game engine, I want to, of course, move this part with the initialization of the window. The config, I want to kind of read it from a file at some point. For now, we'll just leave it there as hard-coded as it can be. Okay. What we need to, of course, this will remain outside. It's not part of the engine. It's something that we just want to have. The show, of course, it is already added here. The input manager, for the input manager, this part, we will kind of have it outside together with the close part, and or probably the closing, it should be inside the game engine. We'll see. And this, of course, needs to be put inside the game engine as well. This one, we already made use of it. And of course, the updates, this one with the context and later on the release. That's pretty much what we will do here. Also, if you have any question, other question, you can ask. Okay. How I will do this stuff, because I want to also to add. Okay, just a second. We'll try to, let's have a new function, auto, init, let's call it init window. Doesn't need to be window manager or so, or why not? Window manager, maybe the AI knows something. Okay, but I don't. Let's have it without. Okay, so what we're doing with that, this will be called in the init, because we'll have multiple steps. Probably some point I will add something like for the game engine, something similar to layers or modules or whatever, and we'll try to put them into some container and just have a for loop over them instead of calling like one after each other. Okay, so we have the init window here. What do we want in the init window? Like I said, first we need to take our factory. This will kind of be sure 100% that, just a second. Let's also include that. So this will make sure that we get all the components that are working on Windows. For now, we let it like this. In the future, when we have other platforms, we'll try to handle different way. But for now, it's more than okay. Let's name it just simple as factory. And what we do further. Before, because we want to use OpenGL, what we need to do first is to call this platform functions. Okay. And we'll have init, and we need to give it a factory. What this will do, it will try to create the, let's say, the OpenGL scenario where you need to create, in order to use OpenGL, you need to create a dummy window to take some pointers to some function, and later on you delete that. After you are taking the pointers, you can delete the window, and you are creating another window, which in the end stays on the screen, and it's your, let's say, main window. So we kind of need to do this in the engine. I will put it for now like this. Like I said in the videos, first we will try to implement something with OpenGL because it's much easier to see something on the screen. But later on, we will switch to Vulkan and we will erase everything regarding the OpenGL. Of course, these functions will be part of it because we don't need to create a dummy window. For Vulkan, we can use directly the window that we want to create, and we don't need to do this pointer function stuff. But for now, we need it and we leave it here. What we can do, we can kind of, just a second, move this here. In the front, we're putting some underscore in order to make it part of the, let's say, the member, or to use it as the member of the game engine class. In here, we're using the factory. And like I said, for now, we will keep the config as it is. Later on, I want to use it and read it from a file, which kind of should be the normal thing to do. Okay, so what we are doing further, we need to take care of this part, okay, this function. Because why I did it like this? I wanted, if some persons want to use some modules that we created, maybe someone wants to couple some other input manager, so I don't want to restrain that thing. If they want to use just the window, for example, and if they want to attach the input manager, they can. If they don't want to, they can attach something else here. Okay. So what we need to do after we initialize the window manager, we need to have something like first, let's use this. And what we need to do, just a second, let's remove the redundant qualifier. And what we need to do, instead of giving as a reference here, we're using this in order to send the lambda the whole context about the game engine class. And inside, of course, we are having the input manager variable, which can be used directly. Another thing that we need to do, and we don't handle it here, but we need it for our game, is to handle also the mouse. For the buttons for the mouse, we are having another callback, because in the end, just as, okay, I cannot show you because it will go in another part, but how I decided to implement this functionality about the mouse is to have a separate callback, but in the end, I will use the same input manager and we'll put them into the same, let's say, map and so on. We'll hand it the same as a key, but in fact, they are coming from different callbacks. Also, why I wanted to have different callbacks, and it's because maybe I want to, or someone, or me, or I don't know, they want to handle the key with our input manager, but they want to handle the mouse with something else. So now window manager events not on close. Sorry. Okay. We'll use on should be just a second. Input. I don't like when we are having so callbacks on button press, and it's kind of the same. We are going into the same update. Like I said, I want to, if someone else in the future wants to handle the mouse buttons in a different way, they can. That's why I wanted to have this flexibility, or how we want to go. Good. This needs to be handled, of course, here. Just a second. Okay, I'm back. So, what we need to do further, very simple. We need to handle when we are initializing the window, we need to set the callbacks also for the, like I said, for the close. So window manager, window events in this case, we have the callbacks structure, and we have on. For sure, at some point we need to take care of also of the resize and all that stuff, but for now it's more than enough. So for this, we are kind of giving the same. We need to send the this pointer, and we are putting the running as false. We are keeping it simple here. We don't need more than this. Okay, what do we need further here? Let's move a little here. In the rendering, what we need, we have the window manager. We have the window context. Like I said, at some point we'll remove OpenGL, and this will be replaced with something that is more Vulkan specific. Of course, for a while we need to keep the OpenGL, but at some point we'll get rid of it. So I choose to have an update function and some render function. In the update we kind of want to update the time. We want to update the window manager, the input manager, and later on we want to, in the end, to handle the swap buffers and all that stuff. Okay. So what we are doing, we handle this part here in the update. The update, very simple. We're starting like what we already had. We're starting with the update of the time. maybe this can be called something like tick. I don't know, makes more sense for the time, right? For a time framework, let's say make more sense maybe. Okay, just a second. No, not do it. Stop, Adrian. Don't align things anymore. Good. So we'll have this tick because we want to kind of do something about each frame. Window manager, update, input manager, update. Nothing very fancy or very special in this situation. We're just moving these parts inside the game engine part. Okay, for the release, very simple as for the end, we have the release. For the input manager, from what I remember, we don't have a release. Just a second. Yes, we don't have any release stuff here. So that's quite okay. And what we want to do, we have the window init. We initialized everything here. And I think we are ready to do the removal from here. If you have any questions so far, I open. Okay. So what we need to do first, let's make a build. Okay. Everything seems okay. Let's make this constant. Whatever's render can be constant. The release can be constant. And that's pretty much everything. I don't know why the update is not constant. These are not. I think the tick is not constant because we are. Okay. So no constant on that side. Let's align a little the situation here. Okay. Well, I will align those later. So what remains for us to do is to go something like, let's remove. So we have the initialization, which we took care of this part. We did this part. Okay. Later, this part was handled in the show, so we'll have something like game engine start here to start the time and display the window. That's quite okay, so we can remove it. The input manager is part of that. What we will do, just a second. For the input manager, we can have an auto, make it a reference, input manager, and I'll have a reference from the game engine. What we can do here, we can have something like the game engine as a reference. And of course, what we can do is the game engine stop. Right, I hope it makes sense. Okay. So we want to have the action on the key escape. This one doesn't, we don't need it anymore here because we have it in the game engine class. Of course, the game engine needs to be running. Very simple here, game engine update. Things are looking more cleaner now. In the end, game engine render. Of course, this is just a render class, render function that doesn't do anything like very special. But in the future, we'll have like a render manager or something, and we will kind of call it before calling the swap buffer. Whatever this window context does is just calling the classic swap buffer function from the Windows. I think it can be found also on Linux and so on. It's something that comes with the window with the Win32 API. Of course, here we don't need to call this release. because hopefully we kind of took care of it here. For the input manager, we already have that. What we can do is just to put some indentation here just for my mind. And I think this is it for the, let's say, for the game engine class. Of course, for a while, because we don't have the scene manager, we will have also a game class at some point, some game manager class, whatever. For a while, when we'll start to add the graphics, we will create the shaders somewhere around here. Okay, this is how we kind of took care for the input, but somewhere around here we'll create shaders, buffers, textures, and of course here we will also handle the situation for the of course the rendering and so on. At some point we'll create a resource manager and we will try to avoid as much as possible to have creation of the resources here, but that's for later. What I want to do and what we need to do is to run this project to see that it's still working. I will press escape to see that my my input manager does something. Also, for those that don't know what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create this game. This is a concept, of course, with some assets that we have. I try to create this also on some old channel of mine, which I don't have access to anymore. So we're trying to create a game engine in the videos in order to make this game. So far, unfortunately, we have just a simple window. We don't have yet this, but with each, let's say, video, which with each step that we are working on the game engine, of course, we're not using an existing game engine, and we are trying to do everything from scratch. I'm saying we because it's me and the artist that does the graphics. This is not AI generated, it's made by someone. And yeah, this is just for those that don't know why I'm doing this for. Okay. At some point, of course, things will look more interesting, but we need to start from some. So, like I said, the escape, it's working, input is okay. Let's try also the close button. So the close button, it's working correctly. So we are in a pretty good situation here. What we can do further, I think we can play a little with the, let's say, the OpenGL part. A little, not so much, because we don't have that many control yet. But what we can do in the game engine, I want to add also another, like init, not input. Or if we want, we can go like a little crazy and let's say we're having something like this and we're moving this, these callbacks, because those are more input related and so on. Those were not in the plan, but why not? Maybe it will be much easier for me to read in the future. So we are handling the input here. Now we are remaining here just with, let's say, window manage. Sorry. Okay. Just a second. Okay. Me is happy now. Okay. So we are having the input here. Let's have something like init input. Okay. If you are wondering what I'm putting spaces, I like to align stuffs. Maybe it's just a disease, who knows? Okay, and what I will do also, it will be init graphics. Sorry, it's graphics void. Okay, and what we will do here, for now, nothing that special. What we need for the graphics for us, at least for now, it's to have OpenGL functions, very simple, init. And what this does, it's something that you probably are very familiar with. It's the initialization of GLAD, if you're using an external library for the OpenGL functions, for the pointers. But for me, it's something else here. I'm having my own implementation of the GLAD, let's say, GLAD library. And yeah, we need to call that after we are having the context and so on. So what we are doing here, we are calling this. And of course, here needs to be called again. So if we are running now, we should be pretty cool with it. We should have like a reason to call the OpenGL functions. Why a reason? Because they will work. And because we just started on the videos, the work on the OpenGL site, what remains for us, because I will not like to have the plain functions called directly, I'm kind of creating some objects, some classes on top of the OpenGL objects or functions, but in fact those functions are working with some objects on the GPU side. And we will start using one right now. But first, we don't need these headers anymore here. Things are working without them. Okay, so what we want to do, it's very simple. Also, by the way, guys, if you have any question, don't be afraid to ask. I'm very friendly. I'm kind of answering all the questions. So in here, we'll start with the OpenGL commands, and we'll start with the clear. And for the clear, I will try to use something like a middle between the white and black, something like a gray. I don't know exactly if it has a name, but I want to be kind of in the middle. Later on, probably, if it matters, we will tune it. But for now, it's more than enough. I'm calling this into the while loop. For sure, I should not do that because this can be called just once, but I will call it for now, just for the aesthetics. So if we're running now the window, nothing happens because we are not doing the clearing. So OpenGL commands here, and for ease, we'll have OpenGL constants, of course, and we'll have the color buffer as the last parameter. Because we are trying to clear just the color buffer, we don't have the depth or anything else activated. This is more than enough. So right now, if we are running the project, we are getting a gray window, something similar to what we have in the videos, but now it's for our game project. Like I said, not a very impressive stuff so far, but we will get to the impressive stuff at some point. Navigation, behavior trees, and so on. And let's hope I will not lose access to my YouTube account, because this time I also put some money in it. So let's hope I will not lose it. Okay. I think I am done so far with the, let's say, with the project. So far, this is what I wanted to do for today. Yeah, if you have questions, most of the time I'm letting YouTube to create for me, let's say, like a thumbnail, okay? And that implies to kind of wait just a second. Okay, let's try to put it with 100. Nope, doesn't like it. So save a default. Okay, I got something. Okay, that's perfect. Good. So, if you have any question, I'm here to ask. Most of the time now, because I finished, I need to wait a little for YouTube to create my thumbnail to get a screenshot of whatever we have here on the screen right now. So, question, guys, I'm all ears. Questions, suggestions, feedback, and so on. Most of the time, it takes up to 1 minute. Depends on the frame. So, tomorrow and for the rest of the week, I will be focusing on shaders. Okay, this is the next step that I want to add. After that, we'll discuss a little about the matrices, because of course we need to, our square that we have in the videos, it's like a stretch square. So we need to add some projection there, some perspective, some orthographical. We'll cover both of them. I know if you want, you can use GLM, a very good library for mathematics, but I will try to have my own simple implementations. After that, we'll do some textures and we will be back live with streams where we will kind of put the graphics inside our project, and let's say tile by tile, we'll try to implement it and so on. And probably visually it will look like something, not what we have right now, just a simple gray window. Okay, let's check the YouTube to see if they generated something for me. Not yet, apparently, or it seems that they did. Yeah, they did, so that's quite okay. So guys, if you don't have any other question, I will go. So, last chance for questions. If not, I will go. And like I said, we're trying to kind of create this game live on stream. I want to kind of put every step of the journey on stream, and on the videos we'll work on the framework / game engine, how you want to call it, that should support this game. Like I said, this game will be 2D, but I will not stop to kind of, let's say, take care of the 3D part of the engine, because why not in the future, maybe we'll do some 3D art for our game. So, I think this is it for today. I think I have the screenshot. I don't have any questions. Let's hope in time people will come, enjoy the stream. Of course, probably when things will advance. I'll try also some other hours in order to see what is better and how people react to other hours. Other than that, I don't know what to say. Have a nice day. And yeah, we see each other in the next live stream. And of course, if you have any questions, you can leave a comment. I'm pretty active and I answer all the questions. So, have a nice day and see you next time. Bye bye.